She doesn't fall for the man with the best looks. She falls for the man who knows how to get inside her mind. Now, let's be real. Most men in their 40 seconds or 50 seconds believe the window has closed. You've gone through a divorce, or you're tired of dating apps, and you assume women are only chasing younger guys or flashier men. You think if you don't look a certain way, you're invisible. But what if I told you that women are less moved by your appearance than by the way you carry yourself? That what makes her heart race isn't a perfect jawline, but the calm confidence you project. This is where so many men get it wrong. They over-explain, they chase, they hand away their power, thinking that reassurance equals attraction. But in reality, attraction grows in silence, in restraint, in mystery. It's the vibe you bring into the room, not the words you spill out, that makes her remember you long after you've left. And here's the best part. Once you understand the secrets she'll never say out loud, you'll see attraction everywhere. You'll stop asking, "Am I her type?" and start realizing you create the type. You'll stop chasing women, and they'll start chasing you. If you're ready to understand the hidden triggers of female psychology and use them with the mindset of a Stoic man, stay right here. Let's get into it. Number 1. Confidence is her first trigger. When it comes to attraction, nothing hits harder than confidence. Not the car you drive, not the suit you wear, not even the number of zeros in your bank account. Confidence is the first thing she notices, even if she never says it out loud. And here's the truth. She doesn't care if you're the best-looking man in the room. She cares if you feel like the best man in the room. Take Tom, 48, from Dallas. Divorced 3 years ago, he re-entered the dating scene with every doubt in the book. He thought his grey hair, a little weight gain, and the fact that he wasn't up to speed with dating apps would hold him back. Then he met Jennifer, 44, a teacher, through mutual friends. At first, Tom overcompensated, talking too fast, trying too hard, throwing in awkward jokes just to fill silence. Jennifer was polite, but the spark wasn't there. The turning point came when Tom stopped performing. One night at dinner, he slowed down. He listened more than he talked. When Jennifer asked him about his divorce, instead of rambling or apologizing, he simply said, "It was tough, but it taught me a lot." Calm, direct, no over-explaining. That moment flipped everything. Jennifer leaned in, smiled differently, and started asking him more questions. Why? Because his calm confidence was the first trigger that shifted her perception. This is what most men get wrong. They think confidence is about being loud or dominating, but true confidence is quiet. It's the steady voice, the relaxed body language, the unhurried way you speak. It's not rushing to prove yourself, but letting her feel that you're already enough. And women sense it instantly. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Confidence begins in that realization. When you stop trying to control her reaction and start controlling your own presence, your confidence rises. You don't need her approval. You don't need to fill every silence. You just need to be comfortable in your own frame. Tom didn't suddenly become a model or a millionaire. He simply became composed. And Jennifer responded not because he changed his looks, but because he shifted his energy. That's what confidence really is, an energy she feels. And that energy is what makes her crave more of your presence. Here's the paradox. When you stop chasing her approval, you start triggering her attraction. When you stop filling space with nervous words, you start creating space where she leans in. Confidence isn't about what you say, it's about what you don't need to say. So if you're in your 40 seconds or 50 seconds and think you've lost your edge, remember this. Confidence doesn't age. It doesn't wrinkle. It doesn't fade with time. In fact, your years give you an advantage. Experience can be your calm. Lessons learned can be your strength. And that calm strength is exactly what makes women pay attention. Confidence is her first trigger, and without it, nothing else works. Say it below. Type, I lead myself. The shift ahead isn't louder, it's subtler, and that subtle change flips her curiosity wide open. Number 2. Mystery makes her crave. Here's something women won't admit. They don't want every answer. They don't want to know everything about you up front. What pulls them in is mystery. It's the gaps, the pauses, the spaces you leave unfilled that keep their imagination running. And when her imagination runs, her attraction grows. Think about it. The man who lays out his entire life story in the first few dates doesn't leave her curious. He leaves her comfortable, but not excited. But the man who reveals pieces slowly, who doesn't explain every choice, who carries himself as if his life has depth beyond her, that's the man she thinks about when he's gone, because she's still trying to figure him out. This is why mystery works. Curiosity is addictive, and when she's curious, she invests her emotional energy trying to close the gap. That energy keeps you in her mind long after the date ends. It's not manipulation, it's restraint. Epictetus once said, if you want to be loved, be lovable. Lovable doesn't mean predictable. Lovable means intriguing, worth chasing, worth wondering about. Mystery is part of that. By not explaining everything, by not giving constant updates, by holding back just enough, you create intrigue. And intrigue is what makes her crave more. Most men destroy mystery by oversharing. They think honesty means unloading every detail, where they are, what they're doing, how they're feeling. They think reassurance keeps her interested, but in reality, it makes them common. She doesn't need a full report, she needs a reason to wonder, and that wondering is what lights the spark. Mystery doesn't mean being distant or secretive. It means being selective. It means living a life she can see but not fully touch. She knows you have purpose, passions, and commitments outside of her. She knows you're not waiting by the phone. And because she doesn't have you completely, she wants more of you. That craving is attraction at its rawest level. This doesn't just apply to what you say, it applies to how you act. When you don't react instantly to every message, when you let moments breathe, when you keep your world moving whether she's in it or not, you show her a man she can't fully predict. And unpredictability is irresistible. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology caught up. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are calm, confident, and purposeful, you naturally project mystery. You don't need to try. You simply live your life in a way that radiates depth, and that depth makes her lean in closer. Here's the paradox. The less you try to impress, the more she's impressed. The less you explain, the more she invests. The less you reveal, the more she craves. That's the power of mystery. So the next time you're tempted to fill every silence with words, stop. The next time you want to explain your every move, hold back. The silence, the restraint, the unknown, that's where desire lives. Mystery makes her crave. And craving is the seed of obsession. Drop it in the comments. Type, I leave mystery. What's ahead shifts the balance of power completely, and it's where most men either lose it or gain it. Number 3. Emotional control flips the power. Attraction isn't just about looks or charm, it's about who controls the emotional frame. And here's the truth. The man who controls his emotions controls the interaction. The man who loses control gives his power away instantly. Take Mark, 51, from Phoenix. After a long marriage ended, he started dating again. On one date with Sarah, 46, he felt a sudden shift. At first, she was warm and engaged. Then, halfway through dinner, she pulled back, checking her phone, giving shorter answers, testing his reaction. Most men in that situation panic. They start talking faster, asking, "Is everything okay?" or even trying to win her back with compliments. Mark almost slipped into that pattern. But then he caught himself. Instead of reacting, he leaned back in his chair, smiled, and slowed his voice. He let the silence hang for a moment, before calmly steering the conversation back to a topic he enjoyed. By the end of the night, Sarah was leaning in again. What happened? Mark showed emotional control. Instead of chasing her mood, he held his own frame. And that flipped the dynamic. She adjusted to him, not the other way around. This is where men lose attraction without realizing it. They think responding instantly to every emotional shift shows care. But women don't respect a man who's tossed around by her moods. They respect the man who stays steady regardless of what she throws at him. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's emotional control in practice. Her reactions, her tests, her silence, those are outside events. Your composure is the power, and when you master that, she feels it. Here's the paradox. When you don't need to react, she reacts more. When you don't chase reassurance, she starts chasing yours. Emotional control shifts the balance of power. She can't pull you off center, and that steadiness is deeply attractive. Think about it. If she cancels plans last minute and you blow up, you lose ground. If she gets distant and you beg for closeness, you lose ground. But if you stay calm, if you say, "No problem, I'll use the time for myself," and mean it, you rise in her eyes. She realizes you're not dependent on her mood to stay balanced, and that realization flips everything. Mark's experience with Sarah is proof. She admitted later that she was testing him subconsciously. She wanted to see if he'd fold under pressure. When he didn't, her respect grew. Respect is the soil attraction grows in, and emotional control is what waters it. So here's the takeaway. Control yourself, not her. You can't manage her moods. You can't predict every reaction, but you can control your frame. And the man who controls his frame controls the relationship. Emotional control isn't about being cold. It's about being calm. It's about breathing before reacting. It's about knowing that her test isn't a threat. It's an opportunity to show your strength. And when you show that strength, she feels safe. Safety plus attraction equals obsession. Mark didn't need to perform or explain. He simply held steady. And Sarah couldn't resist leaning back in. That's the power of emotional control. Say it below. Type, "I stay grounded." The next shift builds on this power, and it changes how she sees your value entirely. Number 4, value yourself above her. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is putting her on a pedestal. They believe if they give her everything, treat her like a queen, and sacrifice their own needs, she'll reward them with love. But the opposite usually happens. When you value her above yourself, you lower your own value in her eyes, and when your value drops, her attraction follows. Here's the truth. She can only respect you if you respect yourself first. If you bend every boundary, if you cancel your plans just to see her, if you tolerate disrespect because you're afraid of losing her, you've already lost. Not her, but yourself. And women feel that instantly. They sense when a man doesn't truly honor his own worth. Stoicism teaches this clearly. Epictetus said, "You will become what you give your attention to." If all your attention goes into pleasing her, you stop becoming a strong man, you become an accessory to her life. But if your attention stays on your own path, your goals, your standards, you naturally rise in value. And when you rise, she rises with you. Valuing yourself above her doesn't mean devaluing her. It means balance. It means you don't give up your mission to orbit her life. You let her orbit yours. It means you set the tone. You define your standards for respect, honesty, and consistency. And when she sees you, won't compromise those standards for anyone, not even her. She respects you more deeply. Think about how attraction really works. A woman doesn't want to lead you. She doesn't want to feel like she's more important than your purpose. She wants to feel chosen by a man who has options, standards, and strength. When you treat yourself like the prize, she feels lucky to have your attention. But when you treat her like the prize, she feels entitled, and entitlement kills desire. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That's the heart of self-value. Don't debate it. Don't beg for recognition. Just live it. The way you carry yourself, the way you enforce your boundaries, the way you choose yourself first, that's what shows her your worth. And when she sees that, she naturally values you higher." Here's the paradox. When you stop putting her first, she starts putting you first. When you stop chasing, she starts leaning in. When you make your standards clear, she adjusts to meet them. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. You value yourself, and by extension, she values you. Most men think love is sacrifice, but attraction isn't built on sacrifice, it's built on strength. If you give away your power, you give away the very thing that makes her attracted to you in the first place. Real strength is saying, "I choose you, but I don't need you." That balance keeps her chasing, because she knows your life doesn't collapse without her. So, if you want her respect, stop lowering yourself to win her approval. Stop abandoning your path to prove your loyalty. Start valuing your time, your energy, and your mission above her moods. When she sees that your world doesn't revolve around her, she'll want to be part of it even more. Value yourself above her, because if you don't, she never truly will. Type it if you claim it. I choose strength. What comes next shows why chasing destroys attraction and how leading flips the script entirely. Number 5. Stop chasing, start leading. One of the biggest traps men fall into is chasing. You meet a woman you're attracted to, and suddenly your whole energy shifts. You start texting more than she does. You rearrange your plans to see her. You treat every silence as a crisis to fix. And in the process, you stop being a man she follows. You become a man who follows her. But attraction doesn't work that way. A woman doesn't crave the man who bends to her every move. She craves the man who leads. The man who sets the pace, who defines the rhythm, who has his own direction and invites her to join it. That's the shift from chasing to leading. Let's look at a real example. Kevin, 54, from San Diego, had been seeing Lisa, 50, a real estate broker. At first, Kevin was nervous. Every time Lisa sent a text, he responded within minutes. If she asked about his weekend, he'd cancel his own plans just to fit hers. But over time, Lisa grew distant. She said she felt smothered, even though Kevin thought he was being attentive. Finally, Kevin took a different approach. Instead of waiting for Lisa to suggest plans, he set the agenda. He told her, "I'm going hiking Saturday morning, you're welcome to join." He didn't cancel his golf game with friends when she wanted dinner, he offered another night. He stopped texting all day, and when he did reach out, his messages were short and confident, not needy. What happened? Lisa leaned in again. She became curious. She followed his lead. That's the difference. Chasing says, "My time, my plans, my life revolve around you." Leading says, "I have a life worth following. Do you want to be part of it?" And women feel that difference instantly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Leading is exactly that. It's not about convincing her you're valuable. It's about living in a way that shows it. A leader doesn't need permission. A leader doesn't need constant reassurance. A leader simply moves forward, and others choose whether to come along. Most men fear that if they stop chasing, they'll lose her. But the reality is the opposite. Chasing suffocates attraction. It tells her she's the prize and you're the pursuer. Leading, on the other hand, creates polarity. It frames you as the center, the man with purpose, the man she has to keep up with. And that polarity is what keeps desire alive. Think about Kevin again. When he shifted from chasing to leading, Lisa didn't drift away. She chased harder. She wanted his attention more because it wasn't handed over freely. She felt his strength in the way he set boundaries, and that strength drew her in. Here's the paradox. When you stop chasing, she doesn't forget you. She starts thinking about you more. When you start leading, she doesn't feel neglected, she feels excited. Excited to step into your world, your plans, your rhythm. So stop running after her approval. Start creating a life worth following. Show her direction, not desperation. Let her feel that you're already on your path and she can either step into it or be left behind. That's what flips the dynamic. That's what keeps her craving you instead of you craving her. Say it below. Type, I lead forward. Because once you feel the shift from chasing to leading, you'll never see attraction the same way again. And missing what comes next, that would be a mistake you don't want to make. Number 6. Consistency keeps her hooked. Attraction can spark fast, but without consistency, it burns out just as quickly. Women notice how a man shows up not once, not twice, but over time. They pay attention to whether his words match his actions, whether his calm presence lasts beyond the first date, whether he remains steady when things get difficult. And that steadiness is what keeps her hooked. Here's the mistake many men make. They start strong, confident, composed, purposeful. But a few weeks in, the mask slips. They get comfortable, they stop leading, or worse, they let insecurity creep back in. What started as magnetic energy fades into something forgettable. She senses the inconsistency, and suddenly the attraction she once felt begins to crack. Consistency isn't about being robotic or predictable. It's about alignment. It's about being the same man when she's watching and when she's not. It's about following through on what you say you'll do, staying true to your standards, and not collapsing when emotions run high. That's what separates the men she respects from the men she tests and discards. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's consistency in action. Decide the kind of man you want to be, and then live it every day, not just when it benefits you, not just when she's impressed, but as your default state. When she sees that, she knows your strength is real. Think about how attraction works over time. The spark is the entry point. But what makes her stay isn't the spark, it's the steady fire. Women crave the reassurance that your frame won't collapse after a few tests. They crave the certainty that you'll still be the same man when the excitement fades. That's why consistency matters more than grand gestures or dramatic words. Most men chase highs. They try to win her over with big statements, expensive dates, or exaggerated confidence. But those highs don't last. What lasts is the man who stays grounded day after day. The man who doesn't just promise strength, but proves it through consistency. That's what keeps her coming back, because she can trust that what she feels with you won't disappear overnight. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's the essence of consistency. Stop talking about your value, live it. Stop promising change, embody it. When your actions align with your words, she doesn't just respect you, she invests in you. And investment is what deepens attraction into something stronger. Here's the paradox. Consistency doesn't make you boring. It makes you irreplaceable. Because while most men burn hot and fade, you stay steady. While others fold under pressure, you remain calm. And when she realizes you're the one man she can't shake, that's when obsession begins. So don't chase temporary highs. Don't try to impress her once and expect it to last. Be consistent. Be steady. Be the man who doesn't just spark desire but sustains it. Because that steadiness is what keeps her hooked long after the first spark fades. Consistency isn't glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's the foundation of everything else. Without it, attraction dies. With it, she stays invested. Say it below. Type, eyes stay steady. Because once you understand how consistency multiplies attraction, you'll never underestimate its power again. And missing that understanding, that's a risk you don't want to take. Number 7. Purpose pulls her closer. Here's a truth most men don't realize. A woman is drawn to your purpose more than your possessions. You can have money, looks, and charm, but if you lack direction, attraction fades. On the other hand, even if you're average in every external way, a clear sense of purpose makes you magnetic. Purpose is the anchor of masculine energy. It gives you presence, strength, and direction. And women can't help but move closer to that. Take Daniel, 46, from Chicago. After his divorce, he tried to fill the emptiness by chasing attention from women. He went on dates, bought expensive dinners, even upgraded his wardrobe. But nothing stuck. The women he met felt a spark at first, but lost interest quickly. Why? Because Daniel didn't have purpose. His life was centered on impressing women instead of living for something greater. Things shifted when he reconnected with his passion for building. He started a side business renovating old homes, a project that gave him pride and a clear goal beyond dating. Suddenly, his energy changed. On his next date with Rebecca, 43, he didn't try to entertain her with endless chatter. Instead, he spoke calmly about his project, his vision, and the satisfaction it gave him. Rebecca was intrigued not by the details of real estate, but by the fire in Daniel's voice. She leaned in because his purpose lit him up. She could feel it. That's the point. Women don't fall in love with men who orbit their lives. They fall for men who are already moving, already building, already creating. A man with purpose doesn't need constant validation. He's grounded in something deeper, and that grounding makes him irresistible. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Purpose gives you those ambitions. It keeps you from being swayed by moods, distractions, or tests. It shows her that your life has weight, that your presence isn't just about seeking pleasure, but about pursuing meaning. And when she sees that, she feels pulled in. Here's the paradox. The more focused you are on your mission, the more she wants to be part of it. Not because you chase her, but because she wants to share in your energy. She wants to walk alongside a man who knows where he's going. And the moment she feels that pull, she invests more deeply. Daniel didn't become more attractive because he dressed better or memorized clever lines. He became more attractive because he stopped living for women and started living for something greater. His purpose made him magnetic, and that magnetism pulled Rebecca closer without effort. Purpose is what separates fleeting attraction from lasting respect. A woman can be entertained by charm, but she's captivated by vision. She can enjoy attention, but she craves alignment with a man who has direction. That's why purpose matters. It's the ultimate trigger that transforms how she sees you. So if you're wondering why your relationships feel shallow or short-lived, ask yourself, am I living with purpose or am I drifting? Because drifting repels, but purpose attracts. Purpose pulls her closer, and once you live it, you won't need to chase, explain, or prove. She'll feel the gravity of your direction, and she'll want to move toward it. Write it in the comments. I live with purpose. Because once you lock into your mission, everything else falls into place. Miss that shift, and you'll miss the key that holds her attention for the long run. Number 8. Silence builds Desire. Most men underestimate the power of silence. They believe attraction is built by constant attention, endless texting, and filling every gap with words. But here's the reality. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have. When used with confidence, silence doesn't create distance, it creates desire. Think about the last time you didn't hear from someone you cared about. What happened in your mind? You replayed the last conversation. You wondered what they were doing. You started imagining scenarios. That mental loop is what silence creates in her. It's not the noise of your words that keeps her hooked, it's the space you leave behind. The problem is that most men fear silence. They think if they don't respond right away, she'll lose interest. They think if they don't constantly entertain her, she'll forget them. But the truth is the opposite. When you stay calm in silence, you project strength. When you don't chase with words, you signal confidence. And confidence is irresistible. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In the context of attraction, this means you must be willing to let her wonder. You must be comfortable with her not knowing every detail, with her sometimes thinking you're distant. That restraint builds more desire than over-explaining ever could. Silence also has a physical presence. Imagine a conversation where you pause before answering, where you let her words hang in the air before you respond. That pause makes her lean in. It makes her pay attention. It makes your words carry more weight when you finally speak. Without silence, your words lose power. With silence, they become magnetic. Here's the paradox. Silence feels risky in the moment, but it pays off over time. Because when you don't flood her with energy, she invests hers trying to figure you out. She starts asking questions. Why isn't he texting non-stop? Why isn't he reacting to everything I do? And those questions keep you in her mind more than 100 messages ever could. The Stoics knew this power well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." Her reaction to your silence is outside your control. But your ability to remain composed, to resist the urge to over-communicate, is fully within your control. And that discipline is what separates men who keep attraction alive from those who smother it. Silence doesn't mean ignoring her completely. It means balance. It means you don't answer instantly every time. It means you don't explain every move. It means you let moments breathe. When you do that, she fills the silence with her imagination. And her imagination is far more powerful than anything you could tell her directly. Men who master silence don't chase validation. They don't need constant reassurance. They understand that presence isn't measured by noise, it's measured by the effect you leave behind. And when a woman feels your presence, even in your silence, she knows you're different. That difference is what fuels her desire. So stop fearing silence. Use it as a tool. Let her miss you. Let her wonder. Let her imagination do the work for you. Because silence, when combined with confidence, doesn't push her away, it pulls her closer. Say it below. Type, "I use silence." And here's the thing, when you learn how silence shapes desire, the next layer reveals how boundaries transform respect. Skip that, and you'll miss the glue that holds her attraction in place. Number 9. Boundaries spark respect. Respect is the foundation of attraction. Without it, desire fades no matter how charming or successful you are, and nothing earns respect faster than clear, firm boundaries. A woman might enjoy your attention, but she only respects you when she knows you won't compromise your standards just to please her. Take Michael, 55, from Denver. After his divorce, he started dating again and met Angela, 49, a successful attorney. At first, things were exciting, but Angela had a habit of cancelling plans at the last minute. The old Michael would have brushed it off, telling himself it wasn't a big deal. He feared if he pushed back, he'd lose her. And for a while, that's exactly what he did. He stayed quiet, let it slide, and swallowed his frustration. But one evening, when Angela cancelled dinner 20 minutes before they were supposed to meet, Michael calmly responded, "I understand you're busy, but my time matters too. If we can't respect each other's schedules, this won't work." He didn't yell, he didn't beg. He simply stated his boundary and left it there. Angela was silent for a moment, then said, "You're right, I shouldn't have done that." From that point forward, she treated his time with more care. Why? Because Michael showed he valued himself enough to enforce boundaries, and that sparked her respect in a way his silence never did. Boundaries are powerful because they communicate self-worth. When you enforce them, you're saying, "I won't accept behavior that disrespects me." And women respond to that strength, even if they push back at first. The Stoics understood this principle deeply. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself. Boundaries are self-mastery in action." They're not about controlling her, they're about controlling what you allow in your life. And when you live with that discipline, people respect you because they can't shake you off your foundation. Here's the paradox. Men often fear that setting boundaries will drive women away, but the opposite is true. When you tolerate everything, you lose her respect. When you draw clear lines, you gain it. She may test you, but tests are part of attraction. Pass them, and she invests more. Fail them, and she quietly withdraws. Michael's story shows this perfectly. Once he set a boundary, Angela didn't run, she leaned in. She valued him more because he valued himself. And that's the key. Respect is not given freely, it's earned by demonstrating strength. Boundaries also prevent resentment. Without them, you end up bitter, frustrated, and drained. With them, you stay calm, steady, and clear. That emotional steadiness makes you more attractive because it shows you're not afraid to walk away if your standards aren't met. And that willingness to walk away is magnetic. So here's the lesson. Don't be afraid to state your boundaries. Don't be afraid to enforce them calmly, without anger, without apology. Women don't respect men who bend under pressure. They respect men who hold the line with quiet strength. Boundaries spark respect, and respect is what keeps attraction alive. Say it below. Type, "I set standards." Because once you live by boundaries, you'll see how quickly the dynamic shifts, and you won't want to miss the final piece that locks everything into place. Number 10. Presence makes her submit. Presence is one of those invisible forces you can't fake. It's not about being the loudest man in the room or the one telling the most stories. It's about the way your energy fills a space. It's the calmness in your eyes, the steadiness in your posture, the confidence in your silence. Presence is the signal that you're centered, grounded, and unshakable. And when a woman feels that presence, she naturally softens and leans in. Let's be clear. Presence is different from performance. Performance is loud, flashy, trying to win attention. Presence is quiet strength. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't demand the spotlight, yet it draws people in. A man with presence doesn't try to control others. He controls himself. And that control creates a gravitational pull. Think about how you feel around someone truly present. They don't rush to speak. They don't fidget with their phone. They don't scatter their attention. They're locked in, fully engaged. That focus makes you feel valued. Now, apply that same power in the context of attraction. When a woman experiences your presence, she feels safe, seen, and captivated at the same time. That combination is powerful, and it's rare. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Presence is the practice of bringing your thoughts into the now, not drifting into fear of the future or regrets of the past. When you're fully here, she feels it. She feels the weight of a man who isn't distracted or desperate, but rooted in himself. Presence is also about restraint. You don't need to fill every silence. You don't need to prove your worth with words or gestures. By simply being still, calm, and aware, you project strength. And strength, expressed without aggression, makes her want to relax into your frame. She stops testing, she stops pushing, and instead, she follows your lead. Here's the paradox. The less you try to control her, the more she feels compelled to move with you. Presence isn't about force, it's about influence. And influence comes from energy, not effort. That's why women submit, not out of fear, but out of trust. They trust a man whose presence shows he won't be shaken by storms. Many men lose this by being half present. They're checking their phone mid-conversation, worrying about what to say next, or replaying mistakes in their mind. That distracted energy pushes her away. She senses the split focus, and it kills the moment. Presence, on the other hand, makes her feel like she's the only person in the world, and that's what makes her surrender not to you as a man, but to the moment you've created. Presence doesn't age. It doesn't depend on status symbols. It's built on discipline. The discipline to control your mind, your emotions, and your focus. That discipline radiates without words, and it's unforgettable. Women remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you said. And presence is what makes those feelings linger. So, if you want a woman to follow your lead, stop trying to impress her with external things. Start cultivating inner stillness. Walk into the room with calm eyes, steady movements, and clear intent. Be the man who doesn't need attention to feel powerful, because when you embody presence, she feels it. And when she feels it, she can't help but soften, lean in, and submit to your frame. Presence makes her submit not through control, not through words, but through the undeniable gravity of a man who is fully himself. And when you master this, you won't just attract women, you'll command respect in every part of your life. You've just learned the hidden truths women never say out loud: confidence, mystery, emotional control, purpose, boundaries, and presence. These aren't tricks. They're timeless principles that shift attraction in your favor when you live them fully. If you want to go deeper and gain access to exclusive content that shows you how to master these dynamics in everyday life, consider joining as a channel member. Inside, you'll get tools and insights I don't share publicly, designed to help you lead with strength and clarity. And if you found value in today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.